With my own ears, I heard him say he was the bread of God. And then he said, I am the bread of life. I was confused. Who wouldn't be? What could a man possibly mean claiming he's the bread of life? I now know he spoke the truth. This is the story of how I came to know him through the breaking of bread.
Father, where are you? You won't believe it. I have to tell you everything. I'll burst if you're not home. Mother! It's the best thing in the world. It's better than 1,000 pieces of silver. It's the very best thing that ever was.
Better than 1,000 pieces of silver?
You won't believe it. I can't believe it. Wait till I tell you.
Lucas, that's not the basket you left with this morning?
No, it's one of the 12. The 12 amazing baskets. Oh, Mother, Father, where shall I begin?
Well, how about you sit and catch your breath? I'll get you a drink of water. Now tell us as slowly as you can. Did you see the rabbi?
Did I see the rabbi? Did I see him? I talked with him. He put his hand on my shoulder while his disciples counted the loaves of the bread and the fish you sent. He smiled at me as if he knew. He did know. He had to know. He knew exactly what was going to happen before it ever did. He's amazing.
Sip the water, Lucas. You're not making any sense.
Here's how it happened. It was late in the day, and I still had the loaves and fish you sent me for my lunch.
You didn't eat the lunch I packed for you?
I just got so caught up in what the rabbi, Jesus, that's his name, and what he was teaching that before I knew it, the sun was going down and I still had my lunch.
Well, you mustn't.
I gave it to him.
You must be starved.
No, I can't hold another crumb. All of us ate as much as we could, and look, here's a basket of what was left over.
Oh, son, we are poor, yes, but we do not bake bread from others.
No, it's our bread, all of it. It's the barley bread you baked this morning.
Now, you know I only packed those 5 little loaves with the 2 smoked whitefish. It's hardly enough for a boy your age, but...
One more sentence, Mother. One more sentence, and you'll be as amazed as I am.
Very well.
Jesus took those 5 loaves of bread, and he blessed them and started breaking them into pieces and handing out the pieces until everyone there, they say there are 5,000 men alone, had their fill of your bread you baked this morning.
Oh, but that's not possible.
That's not my bread.
That is the miracle. Don't you see?
Do you mean to say that the bread in this basket...
Leftovers of your bread which he broke into pieces.
Well, it does taste like my barley bread.
But I would tell you this if it weren't true.
He used your lunch out of that whole crowd?
My lunch alone. First the bread, and then the fish too.
Will he be there again tomorrow?
As if we could get to him, dear.
That's the best news of all. Today, he was near Capernaum. That's why I'm home so late. But tomorrow, they say he's coming around the lake to this side.
Here, to Bethsaida?
Yes, and Father, he heals all the sick who come to him.
Lucas, don't cook up false hopes.
But Mother, one man had a withered hand, and when Jesus touched him, his hand straightened right out, just like yours and mine, and the whole crowd shouted for joy.
But the crowds he gathers, how could I ever get to him among so many?
And tomorrow is market day. I do have food to buy, so I'm not going to be able to help.
Father, what if we borrowed Uncle Cleo's boat and just row right up to him? Uncle Cleo let us use it before.
Well, your Uncle Cleopas may be at his homestead in Emmaus and not here by the lake at all.
We could at least check. Please?
Lucas, it's one thing for a boy your age to be traipsing all around the countryside on adventures. But your father is not strong enough to
Now. No more of that. I can see by the boy's eyes that I'll have to go and see about the boat at the very least.
May I go with you?
You stay with and help your mother. If I can get the boat, I'll have to wake you before dawn to get started, and you'll need your rest.
I'm good with the oars. You'll see.
You get some rest. Good night, Lucas.
Good night, Father.
Lucas, I just hope you realize how difficult this is going to be on your father when all of this falls through. You get some rest while I get my bread and lemon.
We don't need it. We have the basket full.
We can't waste what I have.
Dear God, thank you for the bread. Thank you for Jesus. Please let my father get to him tomorrow. Bless Father and make him well. Bless Mother too and help her to understand. Bless Jesus in all the things that he does. He's so kind and good and powerful. He's just like you. Amen.
Time does not permit me to tell of all that's happened in these 2 years since he healed me. But most strange are the events of the past week in Jerusalem. Events so horrible. They seem to prove once and for all that Jesus was not who he claimed to be. It was the Feast of Passover, and we'd taken Lucas down to the great city for the celebration. News was everywhere that Jesus had come for the feast as well. We were thrilled. I wanted to see him and thank him again for what he'd done for me. And I did see him again, but not as I'd wished. I witnessed his execution at a public gallows there just outside the city. I don't know all of the politics involved. I only know that I watched as his precious hands, those same hands that had touched my leg to make me whole, were nailed to a wooden cross with iron spikes. His feet as well. Flesh and blood. 2 years ago, he spoke of flesh and blood. And this week, as I watched, his flesh was torn open, and his blood flowed upon the rocks below. He laid down his life, and that scene keeps repeating over and over again in my mind, and I keep hearing the words that he cried out on the cross. He asked God to forgive his executioners. Forgive them! And the look in his eyes. I've never seen such a look as what I saw in his eyes. Oh, I pray to God that I will never forget the image of the precious bread of life, nailed to a cruel cross, with nothing of anger, nor even of malice in his eyes. Nothing but love.
Personally, your father did too.
Mother,
Yes, Lucas?
what should you do with this basket? It's not much good anymore.
Lucas, I almost threw this basket away that first day you brought it home. And all that bread, too. But no matter what has happened to Jesus, he gave your father back his health. And this basket is at the center of the happiest day anyone in this family has ever known.
I don't really want to keep it anymore.
We can talk about that when your father gets home.
Lucas! Lucas, where are you? Lucas, you won't believe it. Lucas, I have to tell you everything. It's the best thing that's ever happened.
What? Tell us, Father. Catch your breath.
It's strange. This reminds me of that day 2 years ago. Another miracle has happened.
What? Tell us, Father.
It's Jesus. He's alive. I saw him. We both did. Your Uncle Cleopas and I. I talked with him. He walked right beside us, and we never even knew it was him. He asked us why we were so sad. Can you believe he asked us that? He knew why we were sad. He was trying to get us to see. But we couldn't see past the noses of our own
Now
faces.
sit down and catch your breath. You're making less sense than Lucas did that day he came home with the basket.
How can he be alive, Father?
Oh, he is, Lucas. I promise you he is. He's more alive now than ever before. Here, I'll tell you everything. This stranger came and walked alongside Cleopas and I, started teaching us from the scriptures all about the Messiah. So many things he said seemed so clear as he taught them. How the Messiah had to suffer and die for the sins of the world. I have to read the prophet Isaiah again. Anyway, we got to the road to Cleopas's house, and the stranger was going on, but we insisted that he join us for supper. We continued to talk as Cleopas got some food on the table, and then he asked the stranger to bless the bread. And the bread. I first knew it was Jesus when he broke the bread. His hands were torn where the nails had gone through. The bread of God, the bread of life, the bread sent down from heaven.
Well, then what?
Then, well, I don't know how, but he disappeared from our sight. Cleopas and I just stared at each other for a long moment, and then we went all the way back to Jerusalem to tell his disciples what we'd just seen.
Back to Jerusalem? How could you possibly be here so soon?
Oh, I ran all the way on the blessed legs that he gave me. And I'll continue to run from house to house here in Bethsaida and Capernaum and anywhere else I can to tell everyone that I meet, this is what Jesus meant on the day that he made me whole. He is the bread of life. And just like Jesus said, if any man eats of this bread, he will live forever. It's like that day we went running all through the town sharing our bread with our neighbors. Only this is far better. This is the bread of life.